Hi, I'm Brian Mayne. I'm the creator of Goal Mapping, an amazingly simple yet incredibly powerful way of setting and achieving goals that's now reached more than 5 million people around the world, helping people to achieve their goals in just so many areas of their life. In the 26 years since I started teaching this technique, I'm just amazed by the number of people who write me to tell me what they've achieved with goal mapping, how it's helped them to do something very meaningful in their own life. And often in the process, it's improved the lives of others around them, such as their family. It's inspired me to record this series of interviews with different people from different life areas, talking about the success that they've had by using their goal map. I'm recording these interviews in the hope that it inspires you to use your map, aim higher, and reach for your greatest dreams. Let's go to the interview. Hi, Sandra. Really super to be with you. And I know how extremely busy you are. And so a sincere thank you from me for making the time to speak today. We've known each other for some while, and I have both admired your work for a long time and been very pleased to help you and your community in any ways that I can. Can we start today in this success interview with you telling everyone who you are and what you do and how you come into contact with goal mapping?
Hello, thank you for having me. So I'm Sandra Roycroft-Davis. I am the founder of the Slimpod, well, creator of the Slimpod program and founder of thinkingslimmer.com. And the Slimpod program retrains the brain to have a better relationship with food and yourself. And it is a 12-week program, and it's been going for 10 years. And it was 5 years before that I came in contact with you, Brian, because I was in a very, very different career. I was in PR. I had my own celebrity management business. I was an agent for very demanding celebrities. And one day I just thought to myself, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. And there was all sorts of things, you know, I couldn't get out of bed anymore. I was feeling really, I had everything to the outside world. I had everything. I had a nice house. I had 3 gorgeous children, a husband that was lovely, that still is, he's still here. And I really couldn't work my head out. Why did I not want to get out of, I mean, from the outside world, I was even very successful in my own business.
I'm sure that celebrities can be a bit demanding.
Yes.
But what was the feeling? Was it a feeling that it was meaningless? You're obviously doing very well.
Yeah.
Did it not have a sense of
total
fulfillment for you?
I didn't really know that until I started along the road of doing goal mapping and reading your book. And it was actually somebody, I just didn't know. It was all that the excitement had gone. It was a real effort to get up every day and to get to, you know, the thing that was really apparent at the time was that there was just some real conflict going on, and I didn't know what that conflict was. And I just felt, you know, I hadn't done any of this mind stuff at all.
Like an inner conflict.
An inner conflict, but I didn't know what inner conflicts were. I just felt totally uneasy.
Didn't feel good.
I just didn't feel good. I had no idea what an inner conflict was at that time. I just knew that I wasn't happy. That was, and there was no fulfillment in my life. And I just thought, what the hell? What is going on here? So that's when a good friend of mine, who's still a good friend of mine, lovely Damon, said that I've got somebody who might help you and put me in touch with you. And then you said, here, have my books and CDs. It was at the time. So I spent ages on those and did all the things that I needed to do. And that was it. It was like this this kind of light bulb thing that had just gone off in my head, thinking, right, I've got to discover more about my subconscious. And from there, I did some NLP training, neuro-linguistic programming, because I thought that that might be the solution. And that was fascinating. And we did a day on hypnosis, and that was also really fascinating. So from there, I was still running my business, but from there, I decided that that I need to do more on this. It was just so mind-blowing. And so I started a year-long course on cognitive hypnotherapy, and it was very demanding. And halfway through that course, I actually realized what was going on, and it was my values were in huge conflict with what I had to do every day. Because one of my top values is honesty, if not the top value is honesty. And I was having to get out of bed every day and lie to clients because lie to people who had taken on my celebrities at great expense when they were hired for a job, and and they were late, or they were being paid £50,000 for a day's work, and then they were just they wanted it changed because they were out on the they were out getting drunk the night before or something like that. And that was a regular occurrence. And I found
it was left for you to make the excuses.
Yeah, I had to lie. And that was just beyond, what I could tolerate in here. But at the time, as I said, I didn't know that. And the other thing is financial values. My financial values, believe it or not, are right at the bottom of my pile. She says now, very successfully running a very successful business, but my financial values are right down there. And but the difference was that I had to get out of bed every day to make other people loads of money, and that was the big, they would be really unhappy if they didn't see 50 grand or something contract at the end of every day. So I learned an awful lot about myself, and I learned a lot about my relationship with my mother and all sorts of things, and it was a process, really. But I had also done a goal map when I first came across you, and that goal map was taking me on this journey to fulfillment that I didn't even really know what was happening, because I understood the subconscious because I was training. I trained NLP and I did the cognitive hypnotherapy and all of that, but it's with the combination of the right and left brain is just dynamite. And so from that moment 15 years ago, I have actually constantly I've constantly had goal maps in my life. And I remember it was about a year ago, I looked at the wall and I thought, oh my God, I can't believe that I've done that. And I was completely stunned because it had happened. And I
remember getting a message from you about it had happened around the date that you set as well. And you happen to notice that, wow, not only have achieved it, but it's sort of on target with the date.
2020, because it was 2010 that I had done it, and 2010 it was 10 years. and it was 2020, and I just couldn't believe it. But that was a really long-term one, you know. That was I've had been goal mapping for years, and literally the reason, yes, of course, I know all this stuff now, but I realized 10 years ago, 12 years ago, that the thing that was missing in my life was that I wanted to make a difference. And life needed to be more meaningful. And I had taken a wrong turn when I went into celebrity management, because prior to that, I was doing PR for charities. And so,
makes your heart sing.
Yes, and I didn't know. I didn't know that, the whole glamour of the celebrity world was very luring, and yeah, but it wasn't for me by all accounts. So that was that. And now, I mean, honestly, then I introduced goal mapping to my Slimpodders. That's what we call them. I've got thousands and thousands of people on the program now, and we are, I'm on Trustpilot, rated excellent, which is fantastic. And it's yeah, I mean, the one of my goals early on was to have the system clinically proven and medically endorsed, because everybody saw it as a fad. And I know you've probably, Brian, you've been through all this skepticism, like we all have with all this mind stuff, and people are still skeptical, but because they get a free trial, they take the plunge, and then they don't leave, which is really nice. So yeah, after the free trial, we keep more than 3/4 of the people that come on the free trial, so it's really, really great. Yeah, there was so much skepticism right from the beginning, and I just couldn't get my head around that, because I just thought, oh my God, I've got something that's amazing. I've got something that means nobody has to diet anymore. I've got something that is so mind-blowingly simple that changes your behavior towards food. And why isn't anybody taking it up? And so, there's a huge amount of skepticism, and we had to.
At that time, I suppose you hadn't had the trials to give the proof that's available.
Exactly. And that's really what happened. One of my first goal maps was, right, I need to get clinical evidence on this. And so, because the goal map is an amazing tool in that it enables you to chunk down into really the nub of what you need to do to get to, because there's so much going on in our brains all the time, and we all know how the subconscious works, and there's, you get wrapped up in day-to-day life and everything that's going on, and you just need to you need to really chunk down and find out what's the difference that's going to make.
What are the things you need to do, etc.
Yeah.
If you look back on the 10 years, Sandra, you've not only helped a lot of people to achieve their natural weight and live a better life. I think it's probably no exaggeration to say you've probably saved a lot of lives. There's probably a lot of people that without your help and changing their eating patterns may not be here now. In the early days, of course, all you had was your dream and your hope and the idea. How hard was it for you to keep pushing through those barriers of skepticism and continue on the journey? I mean, now there's a lot of media coverage around what you do. There's a lot of documentation of the success. You're helping a lot of people. There's testimony. But in the early days, of course, there was none of those things. And I know there'll be people listening to this interview that have a dream, that have an idea, that are also facing a lot of skepticism. And what helps you to keep moving through? Did you find a deep sense of purpose, or was there some specific reason?
There were there were a couple of things. I guess one of my one of my qualities is resilience, and I've taken that from my mum. And when I believe in something, there is very little that's going to come in its way of achieving it. Let's put it that way. And I was in Harley Street in the early days before I launched online, and I could see how people who were serial dieters, how they'd got to probably the age of about 40, and the problem became far more psychological than it was food, that, you know, than just simply food and exercise. And it would have started off like that years ago when they first started dieting, but then everything had become far more psychological, and their relationship with food had just accumulated a whole load of meanings that weren't there at the beginning. And then, you know, that was just a battle. And I could see how food had become the enemy for so many people. And you can't live your life like that, because food is something you have to have. So I could see how what I did in the room changed their lives, and how if I could do that on a mass scale, then that would be amazing. And so I had in my sights the NHS, working with the NHS, and that was the thing on the wall, because that was my big goal, 10-year goal, and I had achieved that. I've been working with the NHS now for 4 years, and with certain hospitals so far. Not an approved partner. That is the next thing on my goal map. But the thing that really motivated me was my why. Was the big why. It was resilience as well. It was my belief that I could do this. Not necessarily belief in myself, funny enough, because I still had a little bit of self-doubt, but it was, and then when you're constantly, as you said, you know, up against skepticism and people, the naysayers, it bashes you a little bit. But then the resilience and the why was just too powerful, that I couldn't not do this. And I still can't, you know, I'm still on that journey. And because I just it is there is an obesity crisis. The whole COVID thing is making it so much, you know, so much worse, because that's one of the top reasons why people were hospitalized. And I know that what I've got is phenomenally powerful to reverse all that. And so that's really the mission. And yes, the why has to be there.
There's great power in purpose, and I really get the sense that you feel that what you're doing is your purpose. It's what you're meant to be doing. You're doing it very well. You work very hard. I know that. You put in a lot of hours. Can you say a little more about how your program helps people, and how goal mapping also perhaps helps people in combination with your program, with following through and gaining those greater levels of well-being?
Sure. So the program involves listening to a 9-minute recording every night, initially for 12 weeks, but people fall in love with it, so it's fun. And it's not my voice, it's Trevor Sylvester who trained me. I wanted him, he's got a lovely sexy voice, so I thought that'd be nicer than listening to me before you go to bed. So I just I asked him to be the voice, and that's been the way it is. And so it's a 9-minute recording people listen to just before they go to sleep, and probably, you know, they fall asleep on it. It's not even, they probably listen to 30 seconds after a while, or not even that. And that process is a combination of unconscious persuasion, behavioral science, the science of habit, NLP, tiny bit of hypnotic language, but that's only to put the conscious asleep. But it's a unique system. Nobody else has got this, and it literally reverses all of the stuff that's gone before. So all of your limiting beliefs around the fact, because so many people get to a certain point and they feel they can't lose weight.
Yeah.
You know, that is then that's them for life. They just can't do it. So they come to us when they're at this point where they don't believe in anything. They don't believe anything's going to help them, and they don't even believe in themselves anymore, in their ability to do it.
And sending, I suppose, a lot of negative command to their own subconscious mind.
Absolutely all the time, because we've got a Facebook group that's now got well over 10,000 people in it, and you know, yes, I see that all the time. But what the Slimpod does is gradually reverse that, so you do start believing in yourself, because it's identity. You know, it penetrates down to identity level, which is where, as you know, everything starts. And so you have to start loving yourself in order to have a better relationship with food, because 90% of the people who come on our program emotionally eat because they're stuffing down emotions, and trying
to change the way they feel.
Yeah. And so when you help people change the way they feel about themselves, they get control, because it's the lack of control that makes, you know, so that's part of it. There's also another part of it, which is dopamine. You know, we flick the Slimpod flicks a metaphorical switch in their brains, which means that they start losing interest in the sweet and sugary stuff, and have more interest in exercise and in the things that are good for them. So it's almost like just redirecting dopamine to have a different neural pathway.
Instead of comfort eating,
yes,
you're helping them to engage in a different pattern without them even really needing to consider it too much consciously.
Yeah, nothing consciously. That's why it doesn't need willpower, and there's no cravings, because all of that is bypassed. And so the downloads are one thing, and I'm the coach, I'm their guide, taking them all the way through the program for 12 weeks, and then we've got a follow-on, which is Slimpod Extra. So we got a lot of people saying that they felt they were falling off a cliff. They'd done all this lovely work, you know, and they weren't at where they needed to be yet, and they wanted some more of it. So we've got a little follow-on thing, which is totally optional, but it's something that I've put an awful lot of effort into as well. So there's there's a lot of videos. We have a huge amount of support, because, you know, this is the time that people want support, when they just feel as though things are changing, and that's great. But actually, the old patterns of behavior are still making them vulnerable, and the pattern matching is going on the whole time. And, you know, and there's regularly snap things that, you know, I'm self-sabotaging. No, you're not. It's just what you used to do. You don't need to do that anymore. Just keep on listening and get over it, kind of thing. You know, and it's just keep on going, because that's what happens. So many people have a relationship with food that they go on a diet maybe, and the diet only lasts 4 or 5 weeks because it becomes too hard. But that then becomes an anchor, you know, where they've always stopped at 5 weeks, and they have to stop again at 5 weeks.
Yes, that becomes the program.
And that is exactly why we have got an obesity crisis, because actually people can't carry on
the pattern.
Yeah, can't get out of the pattern, and it's a quite difficult thing to get across to people when when you know nothing about, you know, the workings of the mind. But that's what I try and do every day, is to help people understand more about it.
And I suppose this last year, with all of the worries and fears that people will have been through with COVID, whether their employment will still be there in the future.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, worries about becoming ill with the virus. I expect a lot of people have turned to food for comfort.
Yeah.
And have fallen into, not by choice, but just, you know, it's been a long period really.
Yeah.
Stuck at home. A lot of people have turned to food for comfort, I expect, and picked up a number of unhealthy eating habits.
Absolutely.
That are not supporting them. So I expect you feel the sense of purpose even stronger now.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, the thing is that that people, so where goal mapping comes into all of this really is it's really fascinating, because people don't trust themselves anymore around food. That is one of the biggest problems. That's why people don't. That's why the diet industry is so massive, because people have stopped trusting themselves. Unless they're on this plan or that plan, they don't think that they're on anything. So when you ask them to listen to something and watch some videos, they just can't really get their heads around how that's going to, in the early stages anyway, how that's going to help them. And they still feel very vulnerable, as if they need a safety net, and they feel as though they need something to do. And so that's your goal mapping is introduced very early in my program, because it helps people to understand more about how their mind works, and how if they really look at, you know, what they want to achieve, and how how the two sides of the brain work together. So it's kind of reinforcing that, you know, you can do this, and giving people a direction.
Yeah, and in a picture, I just got one of my maps here. This is my purpose goal map. I just hold it up for people to see that. If you're new to goal mapping, always in the center, we've got a main goal. And then on either side, we've got other goals. These can be from all different areas of your life, or they can all be focused on one thing, like health and well-being and diet and exercise. At the top of the map is why, and we have a timeline. And then we have how. What are the actions we're going to take to achieve the goal? Who's going to help? And always with the goal map, it's created in words and pictures. And I do receive messages from a lot of your people, Sandra, thanking me for goal mapping and saying how they've used it in conjunction with your work, and that it's really supported them. So it is lovely to know that people find a way for the goal mapping to help them to continue through and
we've
do the
got
things they need to do.
We've got a lady who has now lost nearly 6 stone.
Wow.
And she is our queen goal mapper. Seriously, she's amazing. And anytime that anybody mentions, oh, what do I do with this goal mapping thing, she is there on it and showing her map. And she's quite, and she's doing loads of other things on you. She's constantly saying, this was from Brian's whatever it was the other day, and sharing your stuff in
look out for her. Get her signed up as a coach. She can be
your definitely. She was an
coach,
ex-nurse, I think, but she's great, and her whole life has changed so dramatically with this with her tumbling size, and she can do so many more things than she ever did. And
liberating.
And it's really, really lovely to see. But also we did that COVID. I'm looking at my own goal map right now from when you were on the COVID. You were just talking about this past year. And yes, on the 27th of March, 2020, everything was very, very unpredictable. We didn't know, everybody had gone into fight or flight, and the community was in a mess. And so I brought you on, and we did a COVID map. And I did my one, and my one's got, look, Superwoman in the middle of it.
You are that Superwoman. You know it.
That was me, going to be victorious through this. And so, so that was great. And so many of them were so, oh, wow. They really embraced it and loved that. Absolutely loved it.
They are a heart-centered community. And a couple of them actually joined with the more spiritual program as well, with Warrior Within, and it was good to see them there. So you create regular goal maps, I know that. And I know you contacted me a little while ago and said, I'm starting a new goal map. What's your big dream for the future? What is it? I know there are probably many things you're aiming to achieve, and get a sense of your purpose. But can you share what's your hope and dream in the coming years for you?
Yeah, it's still very much working with the NHS as a proper partner. When I say a proper partner, I am working at the moment with 3 hospitals, and we're working with the staff, but that is so that I can do more clinical trials. A bit like testing for COVID. This clinical trial stuff. You have to do so many of them before you actually get anywhere. So I'm working with the Royal Orthopaedic Hospital in Birmingham, and we are doing a clinical trial for people who are overweight and can't have operations because of their size. And so that's one thing we're doing. We're working with Manchester. We're doing a big trial with all their nurses, but my big goal is for this to be recommended by GPs, just like Slimming World is and Weight Watchers is, and that's going to take a little while, but I'm up there for the duration. So yeah, and I'm launching a podcast, and I'm writing a book. So the book is the big mission at the moment, and I haven't done that yet. I did my whole thing a bit back to front, because so many people write books and then build a business off the back of the book. But I haven't done it that way. I've built the business and now I'm doing the book. I probably did it the hard way.
Well, I don't believe so. I've coached several people to create a goal map for the book they want to write, which is what I did. I've written 4 books, and I goal mapped each one of them because the map helps me get clear. Like you said earlier, I can chunk down and I can think about what are the qualities of the book, what purpose do I want it to serve, and I can go into more detail, obviously, in the how part about chapters and content. But it really helps me to get clear. And looking at my book goal map would help get me into creative writing mode after a day's work when I was sat in a hotel somewhere, because most of my books are written in the evening. And recently I've been coaching people around their books, and I've got a guy who's an ex-senior financial advisor that wants to create a business about advising people on their life plans, and he wanted to write the book first and then build the business. And I've encouraged him to create a goal map and do it the other way round, build the business, then write the book, because I believe the experience we have in the business really helps us to get clear on what it is that should be said in the book.
Right.
And the experiences we have become great content and stories for the book. So my view would be that you have done it the right way round for you. Maybe for other people it would be the wrong way, but I believe it's the right way for you. And I would recommend creating a goal map. In fact, just today, I've been talking with a coach in Devon who I'm going to coach him to write his book. He's a life coach and he wants to write a book. And so we just created a coaching page in Goal Mapping so that I can guide him into doing his book, Goal Map. Where can people find out more about your work, Sandra?
ThinkingSlimmer.com.
We will
or go
write
to
it in, but ThinkingSlimmer.com.
Or go to Slimpod, Google Slimpod, and you'll find it there as well. So yeah,
and that's in the form of an app.
Well, it's not on the App Store. No,
Okay.
it is an app, but it's you get it from our site and it's downloadable on your phone, so you can access everything, the whole program on your phone, but it is all done via our site.
Super. And once again, the address for everyone is
www.thinkingslimmer.com.
It's been really nice to be with you today. I thank you sincerely. I've got one final question, which is, if you had a microphone to the whole world, what would you want to say or advise people?
Believe you can.
You certainly have.
Believe you can. That filters all the way down to weight loss.
Yeah, super. Bless you for all that you do, Sandra. You're making a huge difference in people's lives. Thank you for making the time to come on and share a little about yourself and your work today. And I'm sure it's going to serve a lot of people.
Thank you, Brian.
Very welcome. See you again soon.
Yeah.
Bye for now. I truly hope you enjoyed the interview and that it inspires you to go create your own goal map. Goal mapping works. It works amazingly well. All you need to do is go work it. If you have a dream you wish to achieve, allow your goal map to help you pursue your purpose. If you'd like to share your goal map and share your story, I would love to hear about it. Remember, when you're sharing your goal map or your story of success, you're not just helping yourself, you're not just helping me, you're also helping others who will be inspired to hear your story. Please do get in touch if you'd like to know more about being a goal mapping coach or how you can use goal mapping materials to support yourself and others to live their very best life. Goalmapping.com, you'll find all of the resources and information, or you can contact me personally at brian@goalmapping.com. Allow goal mapping to help you achieve your greatest dreams. Thank you for watching. I look forward to being with you again soon. Bye-bye for now.